it here. Okay, so for those of you who do not know Miss Susan, this is Miss Susan Moulton. She is from a very small, cold town in New Hampshire called the Scowen. I mean, it's really up there. And on top of that, she's building a retirement home even further up north.
Wow.
God bless her and her husband and her children. I could not do it for sure. Susan's been with Pampered Chef for 15 years. She's a senior director with Pampered Chef and has over $1 million in sales.
Wow.
She has 2 children. And actually, Katie is down here. Today's Katie's birthday, so we're kind of taken away from Katie's birthday party. We were going to go out for Mexican food, but instead we made amazing, wonderful steak and potatoes and broccoli, and it was better than going out. And we've got a cheesecake going now. She has Susan has earned the Founders Award, Excellence Awards every year in sales and most years in recruiting. She has earned 9 trips. Yay, super awesome. So with that, I am going to let her take it away, and hopefully we'll get through all of this without my internet going wacko again. Hello, Miss Susan.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, so when Kathy and I talked about me coming down and doing some trainings, I'm very excited to be a part of all of this and to be talking to you guys now, because now is the best month ever for people to be joining Pampered Chef for so many reasons. And so I wanted to be talking about not just what we can inspire to as leaders and to grow your organization to the next level, but also why those people that we are bringing onto our teams right now can be promoting to directors and why we need to inspire them as well. So we're going to start with just talking just a few minutes about what are the benefits of moving your business to the next level. So my story, many of you don't know me, so I'm going to give you a little background. I started back in 2005. My daughter Katie, who just turned 22 today, was in kindergarten. And I started for cute shoes. Kathy and I have something in common. We have a closet full of cute shoes, and we don't care how uncomfortable they might be. If they're cute, we're wearing them. And so I was a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids and a very small income. And so my husband saw me with a pair of cute pink sandals that matched my cute pink purse, that matched my cute pink dress. And he was like, "Is that necessary? You already have pink shoes." He was like melting down. And I was like, "Well, yes, of course they're necessary." So that's when he was like, "You need a job." So I started years ago for cute shoes, and I did 1 show a month for 7.5 years. So that's important for you all to know. Whether you're a part-timer now and you're deciding like now is the time, like I do not want to be a part-timer, I need more income, maybe because of what's going on in our country right now, your income has been reduced or your spouse's income has been reduced, or people that you're going to be meeting this week in your parties, next week in your parties, and over the next couple months in your parties are going to be in similar situations. So I want you to be thinking of not just yourself, but people outside of yourself. So let's say that you were like me and you were doing 1 show a month and you were just earning enough money for cute shoes. And I joked, you know, the mother who would pass the French fry back to the little toddler in the back seat to keep them quiet when you're coming home from grocery shopping. Like I just needed a little extra money. So for 7.5 years, I did that. And then I met, I think it was Amy Neal and Judy Joel did a training called, it's similar to this. It was called Get the More You're Looking For, or something like that. And it was just information about the next level, about directorship. And it wasn't even in my state. It was a whole state away. But I thought, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I can go during the day. The kids are in school. I'll go check it out. So I went to the meeting and I thought, I don't know, do I want to do this? And I can't tell you whether directorship is right for you. Only you can decide that. But I want you to listen to what's available to you and then decide. Because after that meeting, I met some great people and I decided that I was going to make a change. And I made a few simple changes in my business. Back then, I was doing live cooking shows, and I did live cooking shows for all of that time. When I went full-time, after the first 7.5 years, I went full-time Oh, that's our cheesecake, Kathy, beeping. I went full time, and when I went full time, I was doing 2 shows a week consistently. So 2 to 3 shows. And I always tell people who are doing live shows, you know, you don't have to be working 3 days a week to do 3 shows. I would do a 9:30 and a 2:30 on a Saturday. So I would knock out 2 shows in one day. So, and I did that all the way up until last March. So it has been exactly 1 year that I've been virtual. So I want you to know that my sales, I do somewhere between 100 and 125,000 in personal sales a year. And whether I'm doing live shows, go ahead, you can release it. Whether I'm doing live shows or whether I'm doing virtual shows, I'm still selling the same amount. Now, I have to do more virtual shows than live shows to sell that same amount, but I don't have to leave my house in the middle of a snowstorm or cold winter or those type of things. So it's up to you how you want to run your business. I just want you to know that that is out there for anybody, and that that my business did not take a hit at all moving it from the live shows to virtual in the last 12 months. So what's in it for you guys? Why would you want to develop a business and a team and stuff like that? Well, not only what's in it for you, but what's in it for the people that are around us. We are going to be coming across people in our shows and in everyday life that really need Pampered Chef. I was one of those people. I hate to cook. My husband finds it highly amusing that I cook for a living because I don't like to cook. And I didn't really know how to cook. And part of my story was that I had to learn to cook. Otherwise, the state would take my kids away if I didn't feed them 3 times a day, right? So literally, I learned to cook. When I saw somebody make a 15-minute chicken fajita in the microwave, it blew my mind. And I was like, everybody needs to know how to do this. Like, this is amazing. So because there are enough people out there like me who need help preparing healthy meals for our families in a time frame, in a short time frame, especially when you don't like to cook, we have a market. Not everybody wears jewelry, not everybody wears makeup, not everybody does all those other types of supplements, etc., but everybody eats, whether you hate to cook or whether you like to cook. And some of you out there love cooking, and I love visiting your houses when you cook for me. So anytime I'm by your house, if you want to cook, I'm fine. So what I want to share with you is the benefits of building an organization and what that means and what that looks like. And then we're going to talk about different strategies for helping yourself and your teams get to that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share. Can you guys see this? Nod your heads. Okay, good. So most of you don't want to work harder. We want to work smarter, right? And so working smarter means that we change a few things in the way we do our business so that we are being more efficient. So when I went from doing 1 show a month to earning a trip to Spain, France, and Italy on a Mediterranean cruise, never have recruiting a single person ever, I just assumed everybody was going to be on the cruise. I thought that there was going to be thousands. I thought the whole cruise ship was going to be bought out by Pampered Chef people. Like, I had no idea. I'd never been on a cruise before. Well, at that point, years ago, gosh, I don't even know, like maybe 8 or 9 years ago when I was full-time, you know, when I went full-time, it was the top 0.01% of the company that earned that trip. Now, people earned other trips. But I can tell you from somebody who didn't know any different, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. You just have to make a plan. So you can do the same 2 shows a week. Now, if you're doing 2 shows a week and you are at the place in your business where you are you've already hit your 15,000 career sales, right? So you're going to get your 10% increase. So if there's anybody new watching this playback, once you've sold 15,000 in career sales without going inactive in 2 months. So if you sell something this month and you don't sell anything next month, you better sell something the next month, the following month. So every other month, you don't want to go inactive 2 months in a row because your career sales start at 0 again. So once you hit 15,000, you get a 10% raise. 10%. When was the last time anybody here got a 10% raise at a real job? So the 10% raise is between 20 and 22%. You go, so 20 to 25% is what you normally make. 22 to 27% is what you're going to make. So it's a 2% increase, but if you look at that, that's 10%. If you're making 20% now, and I give you a raise of 10%, you're making 22%. Does that make sense? So it is a 10% raise. You're getting a 2% increase, but it is a 10% of your income increase. So most jobs don't give you an increase of 10%. So you really need to look at those numbers. So you're going to be making between 22 and 27%, 26%. And then when you start recruiting, you're going to start earning more because you're going to get paid overrides on your own income and you're going to get paid overrides on your team's income. And we can explain a little bit more of that later. So let's go to the next slide. So let's say that you promote to a director. Now, back when I promoted to a director, you needed 6 consultants and 4 of the 6 needed to be personal recruits. Now you only need 5 and they can be any configuration you want. You know, 3 of your own personal recruits and then 2 of those people underneath it. And we'll show you the career plan and how you can make any combination of those. But if you have 5 people on your team that all submit in the same month and you have team organizational sales of 5,000, you promote to a director. Now, if you're only doing 2, now I made this PowerPoint back when I was, you know, doing live cooking shows, obviously. So if you were doing 2 shows a week, because this will literally make you great if you do 2 shows a week. Your income on 26% is $936. Your overrides on your sales, on your personal sales, is going to be 3% as a director. So once you recruit 1 person on your team, you're going to get 1% extra on everything you sell, and then you're going to get 1% extra on everything your team sells. 2 team members, 2% on your own sales extra, 2% on your team sales extra. Director, 3% on everything you sell, 3% on everything your organization sells. When you become an advanced director, it goes to 4%. So here's your director. You're still doing 2 shows. You're getting paid. You're getting 2 shows a month, and you have 5 team members. Now, something that a lot of people don't know is that every month that your team is active, you get a $10 bonus for every active person on your team. So that's an extra $50 that first month that everybody's active. So that's $185 instead of $135. Now, if you moved your team to just 10 more people, so each one reach one, that was one of our mottos. If every person on your team just reached out and added 1 person to their team, your organization would go up to 10 team members. Now, you're still only doing 2 shows a month. If you're doing 2 shows a month and you have 10 team members, you just increased your income to $370. The following month, 25 team members. Again, you are still doing your 2 shows a month. You're getting your 3% override on your team sales, because we're going to assume that they're doing about $500 in sales. You tend to do more than that. You're going to increase your income, and then you're going to have a $250 increase because you have 25 active team members. Now you're up to $925. I'm going to show you real numbers of my stats too. But a 50 team with you still doing 2 shows a month, you're at $1,800 a month. And these are based on averages, and I'll show you the director career plan as well. 100 team member, $3,700 a month. So that's just a little indication of some of the numbers. And I'm going to show you the career plan. If you've not looked at the career plan from Pampered Chef, you should definitely get familiar with what it looks like and how the career plan works. So let me just pull that up for you and I will show you. There we go. Let me screen share again so you guys can see. So growing your team is going to be important because you can work smarter, not harder. And when you are a a consultant that is growing from a small team to a larger team. So here was your numbers before. So you're selling about $2,400. That's about I always say 2 shows a week. So $500 or so dollars, 650. Now the national average for a live show is about $650. The national average for a virtual show is about $450, I think it is. So you need to do more virtual shows than live shows if you are trying to have those same numbers. But when you get an extra 1% on your 2,400 and an extra 1% on Pat, who's only doing half of what you're doing, so she's not quite as motivated, here's some overrides. Here's your numbers. You're getting a 6.3% more in commission. Now you've added 2 people to your team. So this is Jen. She's still doing, as you can see, $2,400. She's still getting a 2% increase now because she's a team leader. And Pat's doing half of what Jen's doing, and Chris is doing half of what Pat's doing. So they're not as motivated as you, and you are still giving yourself a 14.5% increase in commission. Now, we're moving on to directorship. Here's Jen. Here's her 4. Jill has recruited somebody. You can do 3 and 2. You can recruit them all yourself, however you want to configure this. But she goes from just earning $552 to $797 just by being a director. When she builds her team, she's up to $1,700. That's a $118 increase in your income, and you are not doing any more shows. In addition to that, one of my favorite benefits to directorship is that you get all of the products for free in a box. Now, if you're selling at the top level of $6,000 a month, which I didn't know about when I first started, but I recommend that if you want to be an elite seller, I didn't even know what an elite seller was at the beginning, so I'm going to explain it to the newbies that are on. An elite seller is when you sell $6,000 a month and you have a rolling 12,000 in career sales in the last year, in the last 12 months. When you do that, you get an extra 2% on top of everything else you're earning. So why leave money on the table? I figure I'm just going to sell $6,000 a month and make sure I get that. And when you sell $6,000 a month, you as a consultant earn all of the products for free. But then you as a director get given all of the products for free. So the first year that happened, I had 2 sets of boxes show up. My husband was like freaking out. He didn't know what to do with all this stuff. So you have to actually have a whole room in your house for all your extra Pampered Chef products. So building an organization, helping other people is what this is all about. So let me tell you a story for those like Tammy, who is from my team. She's heard the story before, but I think it's worth sharing because sometimes we're new and we think, well, we don't know anything. How can we recruit anybody? Here's the key. You're not really worried about that because you're part of an amazing organization. And the organization has a system for training people. Pampered Chef has Dash now. They've made it so that you don't even need an organization to train you. So the key here is you just offer the opportunity and then you plug your new people into the system that is available on Dash and in your organization. And they can get up and running within 24 to 48 hours and be earning money within 2 weeks. There's no other career that I can think of that you can be at home on your phone. I was at a show one time for a girl on my team, and there was a 9-month pregnant. Like, this girl looked like she was gonna have her baby yesterday at the party. And when we were doing full service checkout, I asked my new consultant, did you ask, Jan, if she is interested in the business? She's like, no, like she's gonna have her baby like next week. And I go, exactly. And she's going to be out on 2/3 income for 12 weeks. Where is that extra third of income going to come from? Like, if she starts now before the baby comes, she can have her training done, her first show set up, and while she's nursing her baby in one hand, she could be using her cell phone and making money in the other. Like, why wouldn't you offer that to her? She's a professional chef. Like, she totally has tips and ideas that could help people. So we need to be thinking outside the box when it comes to that. It's not just about us, but it's about helping other people get the more that they're looking for. So for me, I just needed cute shoes. And for 7.5 years, $100 a month, a little extra money was plenty. Now, I want you guys to unmute for a second. Tammy can't answer because Tammy knows the answer to this probably, but I want you guys to guess what you think my highest commission check to date is. So everybody's going to guess. Wendy, Ben, I want you to guess first.
What's your highest commission check? How much you actually deposited?
Yeah, in 1 month, what do you think my highest commission check? It was in November, by the way. You know, how much do you think my highest commission check was in a month?
10,000.
Okay, Allison. 10,000. Okay, somebody on an iPad with a white shirt and cute glasses.
Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Probably 1250.
Okay, Pam.
Couldn't figure out how to unmute.
That's okay.
I would say 10.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of, I'm not knowing how many parties you do. It's kind of.
Yeah, it's hard to figure it out. Kimberly, you want to guess?
12,000.
Okay, Vivian.
I'm just going to guess 30.
Okay, the last one I see on.
I'll go with 10.
Yeah, you guys are right. So in November, I had my first, I call it double-digit comma. You know, it wasn't $1,000 check, but it was a $10,000. So it was $10,000, I think $2.80. But you know, they take $4 out for our insurance in case we spill wine on somebody's carpet or whatever. So when it came in, it was like $9,998. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? So yeah, so in 1 month, and more than half of that was team overrides. So think about that. My first 7.5 years in Pampered Chef, I didn't recruit a single person. I was just selfish and I just looked at my own income and I just did what was good for me. Fast forward 7.5 years, I really want the trip. Now I'm still self-focused. It was still all about me at that point. I wanted the trip to Spain, France, and Italy. I wanted to go on this cruise. It was my 20th anniversary. So I had to recruit 12 qualified recruits for that trip. That was part of the requirements. 140,000 points and 12 qualified recruits. I hadn't recruited a single person in my life at that point, but I thought, okay, well, I probably need at least 15, maybe 17 recruits to get 12 of them to qualify, right? So that year, and I just want to share this with you guys. I mean, I don't know how long you guys have been in business or anything, but I just want you to know that my whole recruiting speech that year, and I recruited 25 people that year, was, oh my God, I am from Bosco in New Hampshire. If I can do this, you can do this. Like, oh my gosh, look at my commission check. I made $1,000 this month. Like people in rural New Hampshire, I was showing them commission checks of $1,200 and they were like, you made that in a month? I'm like, yeah. Selling spatulas, like, come on, I'll teach you to do it. Like, that was my recruiting speech. So there is no special words there. I mean, we're going to give you words. Your organization's going to give you words. We're going to help you be more polished. But honestly, your excitement is what is going to bring people to your team. And it was my excitement. I recruited 25 people with that recruiting line. So if I had started 7.5 years earlier, I think I would have changed my whole life and my whole business at that point. So when I decided, when I became intentional about being a director and about earning a trip, and instead of treating this like a hobby, which paid like a hobby, I started treating this like a career, and now it's paying like a career. And here are the few simple tips that I would give somebody who's new. Learn from the get-go these 3 things. Now, I was doing live shows, but they still transfer to the virtual world. The first thing is you need to have some type of booking talk. So if you're in the virtual world, every day in your show, there needs to be some post about the benefits of hosting a show. Second, you need to have some recruiting talk. So in the virtual world, there needs to be some post about the business. So, because we're in the virtual world and we don't want to be in Facebook, you want to create your own. So I have an apron, and I have my apron embroidered with different places that I've traveled to. And I point to the apron and I'm like, come travel with me, or guess where this year's trip is, or something like that. It doesn't have to be, hey, join my team. You want to let them know about the benefits of the business without it coming across salesy. The third and most important thing is called full service checkout. And this thing changed my entire business. My friend Karen Batty, which many of you may know, she is my mentor. I went to a local team meeting with her, and she and our personalities just clicked, and I stole everything she said. I pretended her stories were my stories until I had stories of my own. So if you're like, I don't have a story, nobody knows you don't have a story unless it's your best friend at the party, and just tell them to be quiet. It's fine. So steal my story. I really don't care. It's like, you just have to know what to say. So I would use Karen's jokes. No joke. People would laugh at the jokes. I said to Karen, you're really funny. People laugh at your jokes at my show. So full service checkout is going through a checklist. And I always recommend this, or learn it. People always say that are new. So if you're not new and you're recruiting new people to your organization, they're going to say to you, oh, well, I don't know what to say. I'll wait till I know what I'm doing before I do this. No. If you learn it wrong, like I did originally, I had to try to relearn it correctly. And it's very hard to break bad habits. So you don't say now, would you like to host a show? Because that sounds like work, right? You say, oh my gosh, let's gather some of your friends together. Do you think that they would like wine, cheese, and chocolate, or fast, fresh weeknight meals? Which one's better? That sounds like fun. It doesn't sound like work. Learn from the get-go what a full service checkout looks like and sounds like, and then literally just practice it. So a full service checkout is starting with the business opportunity. Now, if you're in the virtual world, you're trying to build a relationship with your customers during the show, right? So that you're going to post an engagement post like, do you like chocolate or cheese better? Or I have a post, and literally I take a block of Parmesan cheese. I took a Hershey's candy bar. I slapped it on my counter. I took my own picture. Take your own photos. Please take your own photos and use your own photos in your party. You will not end up in Facebook jail. Just took a picture of Parmesan cheese and chocolate, and I said, if you had to give up one of these for life, which would it be? That gets a lot of engagement, and it's a food question. So what happens when you do that? Then somebody says, I'd give up chocolate. I can't live without cheese. And then you give them a cheese recipe. And then the next person says chocolate, and you give them a cheese recipe. And then somebody says they give up cheese, and you give them a chocolate recipe. So here's a way that you're getting lots and lots of recipes, and you're responding to all their posts. But then you go back later and you say, what's your favorite recipe, Tammy? What cheese, dip or cheese dish do you just, when you're hankering for cheese, are you just a cheese and cracker person? Lazy Susan, charcuterie board, right? You're asking questions to engage them and get some conversation going. And once you have that conversation going with them, you're going to say something like, oh my gosh, Tammy, you are so engaging at this party. You are just like the kind of person I am looking for in my organization. Have you ever thought about earning income doing Pampered Chef? Because you're totally doing my job in this party. 99% of the people are going to say no. And you need to be okay with that. We are looking for the 1% that is going to say, well, I've thought of it, but. And those are not no's. Those are maybes. Those are the people we want. If you ask the people on my team, and before, how many times did I need to ask you to join my organization before you actually joined my organization? I had one girl I asked 8 times over the course of 6 years before she finally joined my team. So get comfortable with the word no. It is totally okay. It is like going to the restaurant and they say, would you like dessert? And you say, no, thank you. Do you think the waitress is all pissed off that you didn't have dessert? No, she's just offering it to you. And you need to offer this business opportunity, and you need to offer it every single time. Just because she said no at Kathy's show, the next time I see her at Wendy's show, maybe her husband just lost his job. Maybe they bought a car and realized that the payment on the car was more than they could figure. Maybe they had a big health crisis and they got medical bills that are rolling in. You do not know what is happening in people's lives. You have to offer it every time. So I always say, and do it in a light manner. Like, oh my God, one of these girls is Patty. I'm like, oh my God, Patty, I don't know how many times I'm going to ask you, but I really want you in my team. So when you're ready, I'm ready. Like, you're going to be dynamite when you're ready. So you're ready? And she's like, no, I'm not ready. I'm like, okay, well, I know where to find you, and you certainly know where to find me, because I'll be 102 before I give up my Pampered Chef. So when you're ready, I'm here. But every time I see her, I ask her. So you have to start out the full service checkout with the business opportunity. When they say no to that, because most will say no to that, okay? We're looking for the one that doesn't, or the two that don't. But when they say no to that, then you go on to asking if they will host a show, but you're not going to use the words host a show. Now, if it's virtual, I always say, that's fine. You know, like, let's say, because I'm virtual now, let's say they say, Amy says, no, I'm not interested in the business opportunity. Thanks anyway. And I'm like, no problem. But Amy, come on. I cannot wait to hang out with you some more. You were so much fun in Tammy's show. What do you think your friends would be most interested in? Do you have friends that have young kids? Do you want to do a kids in the kitchen theme? Because I totally can customize my party to you. So you're asking for a booking, okay? So let's say they say no to the booking. Now, I was doing live shows. Then I would roll right onto a catalog show. That was before virtual started. You know, well, what about just passing a catalog around the office? Oh my gosh, you can get 60% off any item or any set this month in March by just collecting $200 in orders. That's like 3 people. Like, there must be somebody that needs some stuff at work. You want to give it a try? What do you get to lose? Not hurting my feelings if we only come up with 150. Like, let's give it a try. Let's get you one of those items for free. Usually they say yes to that. If they say no to all of those, I usually laugh at that point. Like, if I'm in person with them, I go, okay. I promise, last question. And they usually laugh with me. And I go, okay, who do you know that's getting married, and what organizations are near and dear to your heart that are fundraisers that might need some extra money? Because I don't know if you know, but Pampered Chef does bridal showers, wedding showers, and fundraisers. Do you have anybody that you can give me a lead? So you're asking for a referral. That is a full service checkout. If you don't learn anything from this call, other than how to do a full service checkout correctly, then I have done my job, because guess what? The full service checkout will lead you to team members, bookings, and referrals. We are in a relationship business. We need to be giving back to our organization and to our community. And your community is your VIP customers, the people that we are helping. So right now, with everything that's going on in the world, what do we need to be helping our organizations with? Well, people are being quarantined right now. So they need to know how to cook from their pantry, right? So we need to come up with ideas on how to cook things out of our pantry. They're also being, stuck with kids at home, which they're not used to because they go to work and somebody else watches their kids all day long. So some people, we pay daycare normally, so they're not used to entertaining their kids all day long. So kids in the kitchen. Also, their kids are not in school, and a lot of people don't want their kids to academically fall behind. So you know that cooking is math, and math will help them. So we can sneak academia in with cooking. Then you're going to want to bring in Kathy will come up with the term, the something council that Pampered Chef partners with. And they did studies that if you get your kids in the kitchen by age 8, that they will eat healthier as an adult and cook 3 to 5 times in their own kitchen rather than eating out, which is, we know they eat less salt, less fat, and they eat healthier when they eat in their own homes. So it's important for us to teach kids to cook. And I think that that's why I didn't like to cook, is because my mother never cooked with me. So I didn't know how to cook. I had to read a cookbook when I got married and figure out how to feed my husband. So your organization is going to be, we've been brainstorming about ideas on how to overcome what is going on in our current market. But I want you to know there has never been a better time for recruiting than right now with Pampered Chef. There are going to be tons and tons of people out there that are home. And what is everybody doing that is home right now? They are all on their phones, on social media. All the time. Your virtual parties are going to have a record attendance. Okay, so we need to be thinking through what kinds of things we want to be showing in our virtual parties that are going to help people get dinner on the table for their family nutritiously and quickly and without having to run out to the store with the things that they have in their pantries currently. So those are some of the ideas. Each of our organizations are going to be compiling ideas for all of you guys to come up with in your personal parties. But one of the things I want you to know is when you are a director, you're on calls through the home office that give you ideas like this. As you go up in the career plan, like Kathy's an executive director, she's on calls with home office and other like cutting edge Pampered Chef consultants that are brainstorming amazing ideas. So the higher you go in this business, not only does your income increase, but your knowledge and how you can help other people will increase. So a lot of times we start out for ourselves, but then it turns into how can we help other people and how can we help our organization. And so I'm going to wrap it up with two stories. The first story is a story that I heard from Spring Launch years ago down in Connecticut when I went down there. And it was a consultant who had recruited this lovely lady. And the lady started her Pampered Chef business. They did a grand opening at her show. Her husband was there and her kids were there. And she said, this was like the all-American family. Handsome husband, 2.5 kids, you know. Beautiful house, 2 really nice cars, BMW, Mercedes in the driveway. Like it looked like they had it all, right? And the woman was doing her Pampered Chef business. She was growing. She did a great job. She was actually recruiting some people and like producing income and all of that. And like a year and a half later, woman disappeared. Like literally stopped submitting shows, never answered a phone call, completely disappeared. And so this consultant was like, I have no idea what happened to her. Like she just literally disappeared. Fast forward 10 years. She gets a Facebook message from this girl that says, I can't thank you enough because I was in an abusive situation and Pampered Chef gave me the confidence and the money to leave my husband and take my kids away safely. And if you hadn't offered me that business and taught me and supported me, I would be dead now. So you don't judge those people that you see in virtual parties or have these perfect Facebook pages because you don't know what's going on in people's private lives. You offer this opportunity to every person every time and assume that they need it. And if they need it, you're there for them and you're going to help them because you don't know how you are paying it forward to somebody else. The second story is a personal story to me. Again, I don't want you to prejudge. I was in the Lead and Lead Plus programs that the home office offers. And their leadership trainings. And they had these strict requirements, like you had to submit 8 shows a month and you had to recruit 2 people a month and you had to do all this homework and you had to, you know, submit your homework on time and blah, blah, blah. And if you didn't do this, you got what was called a mulligan. And you're only allowed so many mulligans before they booted you out. Well, I'm super competitive. So I was like, I have to make it through this whole thing with not a mulligan, right? And so it's February, there's 28 days in the month. What's that? I thought somebody said something.
Yeah, we lost you. Like the whole beginning of the story we missed.
Oh, okay. Which of Jen Mitchell or
Your story. Your
okay.
second.
All right. So it started out with I was sharing about the LEAD program. And so Home Office has a LEAD program where you have to have 8 shows a month submitted. You have to have 2 qualified recruits a month, or you had to recruit 2 people a month. You had to do certain homework and you had to have it all recorded and submitted on a certain time. And if you didn't do it on time, you got what was called a mulligan. And you're only allowed so many mulligans and then you got booted from the program. You guys can hear me okay? Okay, so I'm super competitive. So this was years ago, a few years ago, and I was in the program and it was February 28th and I only had 1 signed recruit and it was almost the end of the month and I had no mulligans and I was like, oh my God, I need a recruit. So I was at the show of a hostess who had done a $1,000 show for me 2 other times before. And we had just finished her show and her show was almost $1,000. So I pretty much begged her. I'm like, listen, Jen, I know I've asked you multiple times before, but I am begging you. I don't want to take a mulligan. I will give you all the sales from the show. These are all your family and friends. This will be your grand opening show. All you have have to do is 1 or 2 more shows. Once you hit 1250, you're qualified. I promise you can quit. You can keep all the products in the kit. Please join my team. Now, her daughter, Avery, was probably, I don't know, 12 years old at the time, maybe 12 years old at the time, maybe 14. And she was like, she loved Pampered Chef. Every time we did a show, she was like, Mom, you should do this. You should do this. How old do I need to be to do this? Like, so as soon as I was asking Jen if she would do this, Avery was like, yes, do it, Mom, do it. I'll help you do it. So I was like, yeah, I have the kid on this. And she's a single mom. So I was like, great, I got the kid. We're golden. So Jen joined my team out of total sympathy because she liked me and she knew I didn't want to take a mulligan. Jen Mitchell is my top growing organization. She has outsold me, out-recruited me, and her team is blowing up in my organization. She's an advanced director. She will probably beat me to executive director. She is friggin' amazing. And less than a year ago, she quit her full-time job as a speech pathologist to do Pampered Chef full-time. So again, stop judging people, ask everyone, beg if you have to, because I thought when I started Pampered Chef, I was going to do it for 3 months, get all the free products that they offered and quit. And if you ask all of the top leaders, we did this at a top leader conference, to raise your hand if you thought that after the end of your first 3 months, you were going to quit. And 90% of the people in that room, executive and national directors, were all like, yep, I was going to do it 3 months and I was going to be out of here. So you know what? Get them signed up, get them a little success going, and they might be your next executive director on your team. So do you guys have any questions for me now? You guys can unmute.
They're so quiet.
I know, they're so quiet. It doesn't have to be about what we talked about here. So tell me a little bit about you guys. So Kimberly, how long have you been with the business?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Excellent. And tell me, have you considered what's your level? Are you a consultant, advanced director, or are you?
I'm advanced director.
Perfect. And where are you looking to go with your business?
Eventually executive. I work full time. I'm a teacher. So, I mean, honestly, this happened quickly for me to be an advanced director. But I do work a lot.
That's okay. A lot of people, I don't know if you know Love Carpenter, but Love Carpenter was a state police officer. And a lot of people worked full-time jobs. Marna Ross, I think she said that she worked a full-time job until her Pampered Chef business income matched her full-time job income. And then she stayed working both jobs for 1 full year so that her Pampered Chef income for an entire year matched her regular income for the year before she actually quit. And she was executive or beyond at that point. So I totally get that, you know, like when you work a full-time
I'm not going to quit
job,
my full-time job because I have a pension. So I have 10 years-ish.
Yeah.
But.
Nice. Yep. Pensions are nice. You don't see those much anymore. Perfect. Bernadette is on an iPad. Tell me, Bernadette, a little bit about you.
I just started in February.
Nice.
I had tons of parties with Kathy for years, and every time she asked me, I'd say no.
Oh, that's Yvonne. I was like,
yeah. Well, my first name is really Bernadette, but I go by Yvonne.
No kidding. I've known you how many years and I never knew that?
Really? Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, so I had a bad year last year, and I was just like, you know what? New year. I said, yes, let me get started. I had a slow start in February, but I did some, but March is like amazing for me.
Excellent. I'm so happy for you. And so now you know, and again, I'm glad that Kathy's doing this training, because part of what I wished I had known early on was the benefits of directorship. I went 7.5 years without knowing what an elite seller was, without knowing what excellence award was, without knowing about the trips, without knowing what directorship was. No joke. When I finally, after 7.5 years, went to a team meeting, somebody invited me to one. They're like, so where do you go to team meetings? And I go, what's that? They were like, what? Oh. They're like, you need to come to a team meeting. I was like, oh, okay. So I went to a team meeting. I was like, oh my God. And so I went back like 3 months in a row. And then Karen said, oh, you have to come to January's team meeting. I'm like, well, yeah, I've been to the last 3. Like, why wouldn't I come to January? She's like, oh no, we're going to talk about the trips. And I go, oh, what trips? And she goes, oh, honey, come to the meeting. And that's when I learned about Spain, France, and Italy. I ran home, I woke my husband up, and I'm like, we're going to Italy. He was like, yeah, right. I mean, I was doing one show a month at that point. He like patted me on the shoulder and he was like, okay, babe, whatever you want. It was totally a hobby. And I was like, I'm going to show you and I'm going to earn that trip. And I did. And I'll tell you, that trip changed everything. So if any of you guys that are watching this or as a playback do not have a supportive spouse or anybody that supports you, do not fear. You earn that very first all expense paid trip to some amazing destination like Hawaii or Punta Cana or Los Cabos or Riviera Maya or Spain, France, and Italy. They come home. My husband's words out of his mouth was, what do I need to do to help you with your business so that we can keep doing this?
Right. My husband's very supportive.
Oh, good.
He really is a teacher also.
So I don't know if any of you were on, Love Carpenter did a call recently, and I mean, I've done many things with Love, and she's just amazing. She's brilliant. But she took her team from a $1.5 million in sales to $5.1 million in sales in 1 year. She went from an executive director that she had been from 7 years to a national executive director in like 4 months, seriously.
Yeah, it was crazy.
She went, for those of you who have been around for a really long time, Love is the person that introduced us to Station Styles.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that? I mean, seriously. And she did that, and she was dynamite with it. She is now all strictly virtual. Anyway, I never miss a training that I can be on because everybody has something to offer that we don't know about. I had lunch, recently with Wendy. Oh my God, the things I learned from Wendy, she was amazing. Thank you. I love you. I'm still working with it, but I am a work in progress. But one of the things, the reason I talked about Love is one of the things that she said, and I found this to be brilliant. And in all the years I've been with Pampered Chef, 11 years, I have never missed a training that the home office has offered. But it's the first time I've heard this. When you talk to a new consultant, what do you tell them to do? Get a launch list, right? Isn't that basically one of the first things they need to do is to get a launch list? Love has every one of her new consultants make a launch list and make a list of who she thinks would like to join the business with her. So every new consultant comes in with 2 lists. And that's what changed her business. And the other thing that she does is that she tells every single new consultant they are going to do 4 virtual shows a week. Because remember, the thing with virtual shows, 1 will drop, 1 will flop, and 2 will pop. So remember, guys, this is a numbers game, and not every show is going to be $1,000 show or a $500 show. I've got 2 right now that, I submitted one this week at $73. It happens. I submitted another one at $18. You just do not know. So I don't want to keep anybody past 9 o'clock, but I do want to add just a couple of things, Susan, if you don't mind. We were on a few calls about the things that you can do. And one of the things that's really, really important that I think that might slip our mind sometimes is everybody's out of school now, right? What does that do to your local food bank? That's killing your local food bank. So why not run a food bank party? Yeah. To fill your local food bank.
Your local kids, just an FYI for those of you who don't know, the kids at your school district that get free or reduced lunch get 2 meals a day from their local school. Those kids are now not in school. Their parents are having to scramble for food. So their food banks are going to get depleted very quickly. If they're not depleted now, they will be shortly. So it is our job rounding up their orders, rounding up for the Feeding America Food Bank or doing a food bank fundraiser, like Kathy said, it's going to be super important.
And the other thing they threw out there was adopt a nurse. How many of you remember when we did the blessing bags? For those of you who have been around for a while, the blessing bags where you took the little salad bag and you filled it with, hand sanitizer and whatever it might be, and we donated them to abused women. And I know a lot of people did many of those. So your nurses are in the hospital 24/7 at this point. Some people are in the nursing homes forever. How about adopt a nurse and do a ceramic egg cooker? So think about it. If you sell 10 ceramic egg cookers or 11 ceramic egg cookers, that's $200. That's a party. Don't think this month is over for you. Don't think there's nothing out there. There are people out there just because they can't get out. Everybody still buys online. And
Kathy and I heard on one of our calls that there was a lady who had an $1,100 order
yeah, Belinda.
on a show, not an $1,100 show, an $1,100 order on a show. So people have money, people need to cook now, they're going to be home for 4 weeks. What better time to try out some new recipes and do some new things with their family and kids? There's a couple other ideas that we came up with. Was the Disney sets are on sale right now. That, you know, all of the Disney things. So cooking with your kids, that's a really great time to do that. Also teaching the no chemical popcorn maker. If people are going to be home and watching movies, you know, make your own popcorn with your kids. Budget conscious meals, how to save money with our products, and offered to teach the customers, you know, based on what they have found at the grocery store or what they have in their pantry, how they're going to be able to cook from their pantry. And I think that that's going to be a big thing. Also, I'm one of those, I don't like to cook. So power cooking to me is something that is a necessity. So a lot of people don't know how to do that. Like I've been doing it for so many years, but buying your hamburger and scrambling your hamburger with onions and garlic to begin with, and then freezing those individually because those go in, you know, shepherd's pie, that goes in tacos, that goes on nachos, that goes in your spaghetti sauce. Like teaching them how they can save time and cook once and eat multiple times. And if you guys don't have the 10 at a time, we used to do power cooking chicken and power cooking beef. Those were two of the old ones. Marna Ross recalled it the 10 at a time show. It talks about, you know, you cook it up and then 10 different meals that you can make with it. Those things Kathy and I will make available for you guys to learn, but those are things that are going to be great topics for your virtual parties. Just two other quick tips I thought was really great. I got off of Jen Mitchell's website. She's one of, again, my advanced directors. She did a whole blurb about, hey, you're stuck home now. You can't go out to the museums. Why not take a free museum tour online? So they have those type of things where you can do that online, or posting things in your virtual parties and or your VIP customer pages that are service oriented, like, you know, 12 tips of crafts to do with your kids while you're home. So we need to be looking up a bunch of these things and making them available for our teams so that they know what to do.
So it's not just all salesy. And one more thing, guys, because it's almost 9 o'clock. And this to me is really super important. Let's be sensitive. I personally don't like any of the funny posts that some people are putting out there about the whole virus thing going on.
Yeah, me neither.
Let's be sensitive about what we're putting out there. That's really important. So when you do your post, you know, be thoughtful, be sensitive, watch what you say, because it is affecting some people, a lot of people. Heck,
Yeah.
Susan might be down here in Florida for the rest of her life.
Yeah, I called my husband today and I said, so American Airlines just reduced their flight schedule by 75%. And I have a rent-a-car now, and I am thinking that I'm not going to return that rent-a-car. I'm going to see if I can drive it back to New Hampshire, because if I drive it to the airport and I check that in, I might be stuck in an airport for days. And I'm going to be around a crowd of people, and I might not get a flight out, which is all unsafe. I would rather pay extra money and drive myself all the way back up the East Coast, or I might just hang out here for a little longer. Who knows what's going on? We will see.
If he can stand Jack with his
Our weather's a little better down here in Florida right now.
Yeah, my daughter is vying for that. She is like, her school finally got canceled. We've been waiting. Her college, she's a nursing student. Her college was the last one to finally say, oh, she hasn't even officially gotten it, but like the whole state shut down, restaurants and everything, but her college hasn't sent out an email saying yet. But she's like, I would rather, if I have to be quarantined somewhere, Mom, I'd rather be quarantined in the sunshine.
Yeah.
32 degrees today, and they're supposed to have 2 snowstorms this week up there. So I'm happy to be here.
When we live in Florida, we don't understand what that means. the whole 32 snowstorms. We don't know what that means.
That means you're running your wood stove every day, all day long.
Long pajamas. Guys, Thursday night, Susan is going to talk about two things. How to get bookings, okay? And Susan is brilliant at this. And the other thing she's going to talk about is how she took her virtual business, how she took her business from strictly cooking to a virtual business. And Susan does anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 a month in sales. So please be on Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's going to be virtual. And with that, I'm going to let you all go because I'm pretty sure that Susan bought about 8 bottles of wine today.
We did. We went out. It was like, she sent me to a place called Winn-Dixie. What a great little place that is. And it was like, buy one, get one. I was like, oh, we might be here for a while. Let's grab some wine.
So we're having fun. Thanks for joining us, guys. And
Don't forget to stop the recording.
thank you so much, Susan. Yay!
Kathy, before you
Yes.
shut it off, make sure you stop the recording before you stop the Zoom meeting, because sometimes it won't